History, where two best friends tell you a story from history in the past. We're talking about it now in the future. I'm Morgan, joined by my best friend and co-host, the beautiful Emileigh.
Hello!
How are you today?
Well, I did it again.
Hurt yourself?
I got into more poison ivy.
Are you like a poison ivy magnet?
I think so. I was just digging up rocks to use in my flower beds, and it's
oh I can see it on our Zoom screen.
That's after I bleached it once, and then I've got bumps going up my legs now. So, I don't know if, like, I'm feeling wonky from, I don't know, the reaction to the poison or what. But
possibly.
I'm surviving here. We're doing okay.
Like it. Oh, man.
Yeah.
You need to get, like, waiters or something for your yard work.
Suit. For sure. 100% hazmat suit. Or make Nick do it. I don't really have any other options at this point. How are you?
I'm all right. Let's see. Do I have anything new to report? I don't think so. I
think at this point it would almost be like you don't have poison ivy, so like that's a good thing. I could maybe say how many times I don't have it this year. Instead of just assume I have it, I think.
Because you've had it for like most of the year, I feel like, so far.
So I'm glad one of us doesn't.
Yes. That's because I stay inside all the time because it's too hot and I'm too delicate for this heat, apparently.
Yeah. I was doing this at 2 in the afternoon in the middle of the day because I was trying to do it before the kids got home, and the mower wouldn't start because I was trying to mow. But the mower wouldn't start. So I dug rocks. And they were like big landscaping rocks too. That I almost died probably. So don't suggest at all.
Yeah, don't dig into poison ivy, y'all. Don't be like Emileigh.
I got it done though.
There you go. Good job. Just at the sacrifice of your well-being, just a tiny bit.
My mulch was washing away. That's money. Okay. So I had to dig it. Okay. Yeah, see? I wasn't just doing it for funsies. Like, I needed the rocks.
I want to dig rocks today.
I like
before
rocks.
My kids get home.
Just a pastime of mine. Digging rocks. And I'm too cheap to go buy new rocks. So I dug the ones that were already there.
Here you go. You're resourceful.
Yeah. And allergic to the outside, I think. So.
Well, any other news that we need to share with our...
Just the poison ivy report, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, how about we jump into our skit? I'm super excited about it today. It's going to be a fun one.
I'm excited. I have no idea what's happening, so. Ha-ha!
December 9th, 1913. A man named Alfredo Geri approaches gallery director Giovanni Poggi with a strange letter he received. Good morning, Giovanni. I must tell you about the most suspect letter I've ever laid eyes on.
Well, I guess we're getting right down to business.
Here, read it. I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it with my own eyes. Giovanni takes a moment to read the letter, his eyebrows rising up his face the more he reads.
Is this man serious?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I hope not. Do you know what this would mean?
Oh God, if he's telling the truth, I'm gonna pass out.
I'm meeting with him tomorrow. He's coming up to Florence.
Damn. I have business tomorrow I must attend to. Try to convince him to wait for me to get back so I can come with you.
I'll do my best. The next day, Alfredo meets with the man calling himself Leonardo. They agree to go to the man's hotel the following day with Giovanni in tow. On December 11th, 1913, the two men meet the mysterious stranger at the hotel.
Come this way. She's the real deal, I promise.
Alfredo and Giovanni nervously follow. Upon entering the room, Leonardo takes out a chest full of stuff.
What is the meaning of this? Are you scamming us? Wait.
Leonardo removes the items from the chest before finally pulling out a false bottom. He removes a medium-sized rectangle wrapped in red silk and lays it on the bed. Trembling, Giovanni and Alfredo approach the item and slowly, carefully remove the fabric. Alfredo gasps, and in a shaking voice, Giovanni says,
Oh my God, it's really her! Oh my God, it's the Mona Lisa!
Emileigh is so excited, you guys.
I've been blindsided. Whew. Okay. I don't know shit about the Mona Lisa, but I know that it, had a weird past. So I'm very, very excited for this. The freaking Mona Lisa.
The Mona Lisa. So today we are talking about the theft of the Mona Lisa in 1911 that put the Mona Lisa in the worldwide consciousness.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, I got super into researching this one. It's a lot of fun. So, I'm going to back it up a bit before we start talking about the Mona Lisa herself.
Okay.
First, I'm going to set the stage.
Okay.
At the Louvre.
The Louvre.
The Louvre is the museum that the Mona Lisa lives, and it's an enormous art museum. Actually, I think if you scroll to... Actually, I think it's the first picture. That's just part of the Louvre.
Oh my God. I didn't know it was that big.
It's enormous. So the Louvre was once a royal palace. The original Louvre castle was built in 1190 under Philip Augustus to protect Paris against Vikings.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been around a long time. And then it was rebuilt because it was probably just like wood. So it was rebuilt in 1535. And as the preceding French kings lived in the palace, they added more to the castle.
Yeah.
And not only did they add more to the castle, they all brought their own art for display in the castle. So from very early on, it was like a place where you went to view art pieces. It finally opened up to the public in 1793 and became federal property in 1848. It is enormous. At the time, we'll be speaking about at about 400 rooms. But I've also seen, I guess, today it has 1,000 rooms.
I'm sorry. What?
Uh-huh. It's between 45 and 50 acres.
Huh? What?
45 and 50 acres of gallery space.
I'm just thinking of how long it took us to get through the art museum in Boston. And we didn't even go to all of it. And it was a half-a-day adventure. Just, that is minuscule compared to this museum. What the fuck?
So I've seen that, it's definitely not a day trip. And I've even seen something say that it would take an entire lifetime to see everything inside the Louvre. There are hundreds of thousands of artifacts and art pieces in this museum.
Wow. I mean, yeah, if you took your time and actually absorbed every piece of art in there, holy crap.
Yeah, it would take you a very long time to get through everything, if you even were able to. Still in the Louvre, but a very important room within the Louvre is the square room, or I'm going to do my best to pronounce this, Salon Carré. Carré. Okay. I can't do the French.
Sounded good to me.
Thank you. Salon Carré is the square room in French.
Okay.
So when the Louvre was still a royal palace, this was the art gallery in the palace.
Okay.
It's been like that for hundreds of years. And actually, a lot of Parisian art galleries call themselves salons because of the Salon Carré.
Ah.
It was initially built by King Louis XIV's architect after the Louvre was damaged in a 1661 fire. So when they were like doing repairs, he was like, hey, I built you this square room. And when the king moved to Versailles in 1682, he dedicated the room to the Royal Academy of Painting and Sculpture in 1692. Art shows were held regularly here until the French Revolution in 1789. And also, I guess it was probably before the Revolution, it was redesigned to have a glass roof to let natural light in.
Oh.
And it was, one of the first exhibition spaces in the world with overhead lighting. Because electricity wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah, they just have to have candles, which seems real sketchy around paintings.
Yes.
So, okay.
So after the Revolution, it became open to other artists, not just those within the Royal Academy.
Right.
Until 1848. And then it was redesigned by Félix Dubon, and it was elevated even higher. Like, it was made even more fancy.
Okay.
Like, there's a picture beneath the picture of the Louvre of the square room.
Yeah.
It's got filigree, there's sculptures, there's different paintings and engravings.
It's bougie.
It's so, like, literally bourgeois. Like...
And I can't get over the size of these paintings in this room because I'm looking at the people and I'm looking at the door. And then at first I looked at this room. I'm like, oh, it's really small. And then I saw the furniture and everything that's actually like to scale. And I'm like, no, that painting's bigger than my bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yes. And a cool thing about the salon is that when Felix redesigned it, he etched the names of all the famous artists that had paintings in the Salon Carré into the room itself.
How thoughtful.
And it's got Raphael's and Monet's and a bunch of other artists I kept seeing over and over again, didn't write down, but like all the very famous artists.
Wow.
Again, it holds many paintings, and for a long time there was a jewel in the crown that shined above all the rest. The Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa.
So, in Italian, she's called La Gioconda. La Gioconda. I think I said that right. And it's very similar in French as well. And actually, French people call the Mona Lisa La Gioconda as well. The Mona Lisa was painted by Leonardo da Vinci, as we know. He was commissioned by Francisco del Giocondo, a merchant, to paint his wife, Lisa Gherardini, in 1503. And Da Vinci never finished it. He worked on it for like over a decade. And eventually he was invited to move to France by King Francis I in 1517. And he took the Mona Lisa with him and continued like working on it. So he never gave the couple the portrait that they commissioned him to paint of the guy's wife. Oh my God. Like, he was like, this is my painting now. And
I like her face and I'm going to keep it.
It's actually thought to be like his favorite painting. And I saw allegedly when Da Vinci died in 1519, he only died 2 years later, the Mona Lisa was sold to King Francis I for 4,000 gold by his assistant.
Was the family like, but that's my wife. I own that.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
I thought this was interesting and I didn't know this. The Mona Lisa is not on canvas. It is an oil painting on a wood panel, which I did not know.
Wouldn't you know it?
I know, right? Would you stop? I'm just...
We've been barking up the wrong tree this whole time. Is it really graining on you?
Leave me alone.
I will not.
You're really going against the grain on this one.
Okay. tried to do something with plank, but I don't think I can, so proceed.
I'm going to hit you in the head with a plank. So apparently painting on just wood was very common during the Renaissance.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
Maybe materials hard to come by or something.
Or maybe it like lasts longer. I'm not sure.
You know, during the Renaissance, they would be like, it's more beautiful to paint on nature.
Possibly. I thought I had a note. Maybe I put it at the bottom. Let me see. Yeah, I put it at the bottom. Okay, I'll talk about it at the end. At some point, I guess before, like when King Francis I bought it, it was hung up in the palace at Fontainebleau until it was moved to the Palace of Versailles by King Louis XIV. After the French Revolution, it was moved to the Louvre in 1797, where it has remained since then with 2 exceptions. When Napoleon was doing his shenanigans, he moved it to his bedroom.
Rude.
And then when it was stolen.
Okay.
But every other time, it's been at the Louvre. In the 1860s, art critics they were just like, wait a minute, there's this amazing piece of like Renaissance art. And it was lauded as like a beacon of what like the Renaissance like art style was at the time. And like was very praised for its artistry, but it wasn't really famous, you know, like it was
right.
well regarded, but just not worldwide known like we know it to be today. So in 1910, Louvre officials received a letter threatening harm to the Mona Lisa. So they were like, okay, let's protect this piece of art. So they hired a glazing firm named Corbier to basically make like protective boxes, like glass front boxes around not just the Mona Lisa, but like a dozen other really important, valuable artworks as well.
Why would somebody want to harm artwork? It's especially just a lady's portrait. Like, what?
People would be crazy. Like, since it was a public art gallery, people have been trying to do, not just the Mona Lisa, but just other artworks at the Louvre, like trying to steal or destroy the art. Like,
why? Are the intrusive thoughts winning? Like, this is a priceless piece of art.
Must destroy?
Must smash. Yeah.
I guess. I could not tell you.
What in the fuck?
I don't know. But this whole process of like putting the paintings in these frames, these boxes, took about 3 months. And on top of that, the Mona Lisa also had like a brace put on the back of it. Like, so you have the painting, which is on a wood panel, which is in a Renaissance era frame, which is embraced, and then it's in a box.
Okay.
So this thing was like fucking heavy. I've seen over 200 pounds altogether.
Damn.
Which will come back. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
While it's hanging, so one, this painting is only 30 by 21 inches. It's not very big. It's less than 3 feet by 2 feet.
Oh.
It's only about like this big.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I guess it'd be kind of like a standard canvas you would buy like at a store. That's how I imagine it, about that size. And this is also important. While it was at the Louvre, it was only on 4 hooks. That was the only thing keeping it attached to the wall. And apparently, most of the paintings were only on a few hooks because if there was a fire, they could just grab it and go.
Okay.
Because fires were very common at the time.
Yeah. That's fair, actually.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I agree too. I was like, only 4 hooks, but it's because, you know, just...
I mean, if one room caught on fire, you'd want to get as many things out of that room as possible while still extinguishing the fire. Absolutely. So, yeah.
All right. Now we're going to change gears to our thief here.
Okay.
His name was Vincenzo Peruggia.
Okay.
That is as Italian as I'm going to be getting. Vincenzo Peruggia was born October 8th, 1881 in Florence, Italy. I was not able to find anything about his childhood.
Okay.
Literally, like, he moved to Paris when he was, like, in his mid-20s. And that is the only thing I know about him, like, up to that point. He
that's
found
what
work.
we got.
Yep, that's what we got. He found work as a painter and handyman while he was in Paris. According to his later testimony, he was a self-described artist, and he had actually taught himself how to read. Don't know if that's true, but that's what he says. I saw one person write in one of the sources I used. They were the only one to mention this, but apparently he had been arrested twice before the theft. He was arrested in June of 1908 when he tried to rob a sex worker.
What?
Mm-hmm. And then he was arrested again in February of 1909 when he brought a gun to a fist fight.
He brought a gun to a freaking fist fight?
Mm-hmm.
That's a little excessive.
I agree. Apparently he didn't shoot anyone, but...
Dude, fight fair.
Yeah.
Bring out your man-made guns.
Put up your dukes.
Put them up.
Fisticuffs. So I saw that he had been hired by the glazing firm Cobier to help install all the boxes onto the artworks, and that's how he worked for the Louvre.
He's got an in.
He does have an in. He actually, I saw somewhere that he worked on the Mona Lisa specifically.
He grew attachments.
I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, this story is very convoluted. There are a lot of different theories, and people say a lot of different things about what happened. I'm going to do my best to talk about all of the things. I also think he's a liar. So it's also hard to get the truth when I think he's a liar. I'm
not getting trustworthy vibes from this guy.
Yeah. And I'll get into, like, possible motivations, like, as we go. But, again, it's convoluted as fuck, okay? I'm going to do my best.
Is it the mob, like it was in the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum?
No, it was not. But it may have been an Argentinian man. We're not sure. Anyway.
Okay. I'm more confused now. Okay,
I'll get to it. So, Vincenzo worked at the Louvre between October of 1910 and January of 1911, which is, again, like a 4-month span, 3-month span. He also says that he was treated horribly by his French co-workers because he was Italian. Apparently, he was called macaroni eater, which at the time, being called macaroni was very derogatory.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, it was just a way to, like, make fun of someone for being Italian. He said he got his stuff stolen from him, and people even put salt in his wine. Which, I do think he's a liar. I don't know if he was necessarily lying about this, because, racism is a thing.
It seems like it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I thought this was interesting. At this incident, he was only 29.
Oh, he's young.
Yes, he is a young man. And now we're getting into the theft.
Okay.
August 20th, 1911. This is a Sunday. So, kind of, again, a little orienting to the scene. At the time of the theft, the Louvre, like I said, had over 400 rooms, thousands of paintings, but only between 150 to 200 guards. And no alarm system.
The math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, it's...
on the guards.
Yeah. And so I'll get to it, but on the day that the theft happened, like, the Louvre wasn't open to the public, so security may have been just, like, a little bit more lax anyway.
And are we talking about, like, 100, how many, 140, did you say, guards?
Between 150 to 200. I've seen both.
Okay. Is that per shift, or is that total, and then that's going to be split up between different shifts?
I don't know. And maybe that's why the numbers are different. Maybe they had, like, 200 guards employed, but only 150 were, like, working at any given time. I'm not sure.
Right. Okay.
Also, the Louvre had at the time, it was said it had an unknown amount of, like, nooks, crannies, and rooms that people could hide into, because it used to be a royal palace for, like, hundreds of years.
Right.
There's no telling, like, all the servant quarters people could duck into, or, like, all the little things. So on Sunday, August 20th, Peruggia showed up to work just like he normally did, and Sunday was one of the busiest days of the week for the Louvre. And the thing was, is he did not leave. That day, at the end of his shift, he and perhaps 2 other people, we'll get into it, hid in a closet overnight. They stayed in a supply closet overnight in August in France, in Paris.
Oh, that's got to be hot and uncomfortable.
I feel like it was not a very pleasant night.
Yeah.
So the following morning at 7 a.m., they leave the closet.
Okay.
Peruggia and possibly the co-conspirators emerged from the closet. They obtained a white smock, like an artist's smock, and proceeded to the Salon Carré. When the coast was clear, the Mona Lisa was taken off its hooks and transported to a stairwell. Peruggia and maybe the other people removed the box, the frame, and the brace and covered the painting with a smock.
Okay. I thought they were wearing the smock, and I was like, why?
So what I saw was that he did put on the smock.
Okay.
And he tried to hide it under the smock while he was wearing it, and it didn't work because it's not a very big painting, but still like almost 3 by 2 feet.
Yeah, you can't put it in your pocket, dude. Yeah. Like, it's not...
So he ended up like taking off the smock and like wrapping it around the painting.
Okay.
To kind of hide it, which... He was carrying a big rectangular object in a smock. I don't understand it. Anyway, there's an account that Peruggia was going down the stairs and he had a stolen key to unlock the door at the bottom of the stairs, but it wouldn't open. So then he was panicking and he just took off the doorknob completely and it still wouldn't open. And a very kind plumber just happened to be walking by and saw that this poor man who looked to be a worker was stuck. And was like, here, let me help you out, my guy. And Peruggia was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And just helped him out the door. And he just went on his way.
Oh my God, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, the kindness of a stranger turns out to be bad.
I know. So as Peruggia and or company left the museum, there was a guard that was could have potentially seen Peruggia leave. But apparently at that moment, it's reported the guard turned away to talk to someone or do something and completely missed Peruggia leaving the grounds of the...
What?
the Louvre. And a witness saw him throw something into a ditch. And when they went to go check it out, it was a doorknob.
Oh my God.
Reportedly.
Oh my God.
So Peruggia took the Mona Lisa back to his apartment and just hid it in a closet.
Why?
We'll get to possibly why. It also spent time just underneath his table. You know how tables have the lip? Yeah. I think he just kind of found a way to hide it underneath the tabletop in his apartment.
Well, he can't display it.
No.
Or he could, but he could never have people over.
Right. So the next day, so this again was 7 a.m. Monday morning, the Tuesday, when it was back open to the public, an artist came by to draw the Mona Lisa. That was pretty common where artists would come in and draw famous paintings. The only rule was that it had to be a different size.
Oh, okay.
But they were you can recreate it because they were learning the techniques of the old masters and all that. It just couldn't be they didn't want you to try to sell it as
a direct replica.
Right.
Yeah.
So this artist came in and he was going to sketch the Mona Lisa and he was like, why is it not here? Also going on at the time at the Louvre, photography was still, a relatively new thing. So what they were doing is they were taking paintings off the walls and photographing different artworks for archiving purposes.
Right.
So apparently a couple people may have seen the Mona Lisa just wasn't on the wall and they're oh, it's probably being photographed. Oh. So no one really thought about it being missing.
What a bunch of weird things happening at the same time for that to be oh, well, that's fine. It's fine. Just miscommunication. They'd be like, oh, well, I guess so-and-so took it and then just, like, didn't tell me.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
What?
Who would try to steal it? So the artist is like, hey, where's the Mona Lisa? To a security guard. And the security guard was like, I don't know. It was probably being photographed. And he's like, I really want to, like, draw the Mona Lisa. Will you go check it for me? And the guard was like, fine. Okay. So he goes to where the photographers are. And they're like, we don't have it. And he was like, okay, that's weird. And he goes to a few other places and none of them have the Mona Lisa. So he's like, okay, this is serious. So he contacts the museum directors and he's like, hey, the Mona Lisa isn't on the wall and no one has it. And they're like, oh my God. Oh my God. Did someone steal the Mona Lisa? Yeah. It was stolen. The Mona Lisa was stolen.
Oh no.
My God. So authorities were notified immediately and the Louvre closed for the investigation. The only evidence they found were, one, the discarded items from the Mona Lisa, the box, the frame, the brace, the doorknob, and one fingerprint.
Where did they find, like, where were the boxes hidden where it took that long?
They had taken it to, like, a stairwell that was, like, off the room.
So it wasn't, like, obvious. Like, in the Isabella Stewart
right,
Gardner
when everything
Museum,
was, like, no.
shit was in a disarray.
Because there were still people in the Louvre. It was just workers and employees. So it had, like, been taken out of sight so they could, like, get everything off of it. So the police set up checkpoints, searched train stations, ports. So there are some ships that had, like, left before the investigation started, and they were searched at, like, their port of call where they got to their destination. Like, literally an international search started up for the Mona Lisa. No one could find it. It's
like down the road.
I know. It's so crazy. It never left Paris. It never left Paris until the very end. Spoiler alert. Okay. So many people were considered suspects and were interviewed and or interrogated. There is an avant-garde poet named Guillaume Apollinaire. He was arrested due to, apparently he had, like, called for the Louvre to be burned down.
What?
I don't know. I doubt it was because it was an art museum. I wonder if it was because it was a symbol of the bourgeois. Don't know. And he implicated Pablo Picasso.
Poor Picasso.
And because there was good reason for this, though, because a few years prior, or a little while prior, William had arranged for some Spanish stone heads to be stolen from the Louvre. And then Picasso bought them and used them as a reference for one of his paintings. So they had been engaging in sketchy shit. And Picasso was interviewed as well. Both of them were cleared of any wrongdoing in this case.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, like, people have been stealing shit from the Louvre ever since it was available to the public. Like,
oh my God. Leave the Louvre alone.
You want to know what's crazy? Peruggia was interviewed by police twice.
What?
Twice. While the Mona Lisa was in his apartment.
I ain't got it.
Yeah.
Wasn't me. Something on the camera.
There was one day when they came to interview him, it was literally under his table. And he's like, I don't have it.
They're probably sitting at that table in, like, normal investigator style, like, where is the Mona Lisa?
And he's like, I don't know.
I'm telling you, wasn't me. Just turned to Shaggy.
He literally told them, I was late to work this day because I got really drunk the night before and I was hungover. And they're like, that's a solid alibi. He's definitely not guilty. And then he was never interviewed again.
Oh my God. I wish I could use a hangover to get out of a lot of stuff.
I know, right? That would be very nice. So when word got out about the Mona Lisa being stolen, oh my God, it made international news. It was on every headline, on every major newspaper around the world. Wow. Like, and I actually have a copy of a New York Times headline in the pictures because it was stolen in broad daylight.
Yeah, that's concerning for them because they're like, what else could be stolen in broad daylight? And also, like, I don't know, I guess it's a warning to everyone, like, hey, if you see it, call us, because they don't know what country it could be going to.
They had all these theories about, like, this whole cabal of, like, black market art dealers. And additionally, at the time, newspapers were becoming incredibly popular. Like, they were still kind of a newer thing. And this just, like, people were like, I gotta read about the Mona Lisa. And just, like, newspaper sales increased everywhere. And then there's that New York Times headline that I put in the pictures. It says, quote, 60 detectives seek stolen Mona Lisa. French public indignant. Indignant.
Well, they're mad.
There was a fear in France that there were American millionaires that were buying what they could of French culture and works of art. And actually, J.P. Morgan was suspected of organizing the theft. He did not.
Oh, of course he didn't.
But he was like a rich billionaire in the Americas, and people are like, he's suspicious. And he was like, what did I do? I'm just rich.
I'm just chilling over here.
But we've already, like, we know the French Revolution happened. Like, the French do not trust the bourgeois. Like, this has been well established.
Yes.
And there are some thoughts, because at the time, this is 1911, there's some growing tensions between France and Germany. Yeah. And some people thought maybe the Kaiser orchestrated the theft to kind of, like, put France in disarray. He did not, but people, I mean, these were like all the theories that were coming out. Because who would think it was a handyman, like an Italian handyman working like at the Louvre
to help protect the freaking Mona Lisa?
Right.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm going to do my best to say this. The Paris magazine, L'Illustration.
Sounds right to me.
I did that right. Okay. They offered 40,000 francs as a reward and said, quote, what audacious criminal, what mystifier, what maniac collector, what insane lover has committed this abduction?
So dramatic.
I'm so obsessed with it.
Love it.
And then...
Can you read it? Can you read it to me one more time?
Yes. A dramatic reading.
Yes, thank you.
What audacious criminal, what mystifier, what maniac collector, what insane lover has committed this abduction?
How the fuck did the French make a museum heist sound so sexy? How did they do that? Oh my God, I'm obsessed
only the
with
French
this.
Can do, I guess.
Whew.
And then
this
is so funny. So a competitor magazine, the Paris Journal, offered 50,000 francs as a reward. And then they started like going against each other, like upping their reward.
They're like, no, I'm going to give the biggest reward. No, I'm going to give the biggest reward. It's going to be me. It's going to be me. Oh my God. I love this. So wild.
And then just the Mona Lisa being missing was a huge draw to the Louvre. People came in droves to see an empty space on the wall. That's literally what they came to see. They're like, I want to see the missing Mona Lisa. And they just came to see the hooks.
Wow. I feel like that is actually the same kind of feeling that you get when you find something like really cool that's really old and you're like, oh, this is like something from the past. Like it's a thing. It's a big historical thing. And you're like, even though it's not there anymore, it's the feeling of it.
Yeah.
You know?
I totally get that. And I agree with that. It's like, oh my God, it's missing.
Yeah.
It's missing.
Where is it? It could have been like all the things that could have been. Like when you hold something old and you're like, oh, the past, wild, crazy feeling. Yeah.
And I thought this was really sweet. People started leaving flowers underneath like the spot, which I thought was really sweet.
That's so sweet.
So the plumber that helped Peruggia was named Sauvé, and he testified that he had only seen Peruggia once when he was dressed as an employee. And this poor plumber was shown hundreds of photographs of every single museum employee and was like, which one is it? And he's like, I don't know. There's like hundreds of people. I saw him for like 5 minutes. I don't know who he is.
He never helped another soul ever again.
He's like, I'm never going to help any other person ever again. And the police investigated every single lead that they came up with. It was like, again, international searches, like from Japan to Brazil. Like, if they got a tip the Mona Lisa was in a place, they searched for it.
Oh my God.
Eventually, the following year, 1912, the Louvre was like, we can't just have a blank space. So they ended up hanging up the Baldassare Castiglione by Raphael in its place while the investigation was still going on.
I would have left the blank space, I think.
I think they just wanted to try to, like, they're still looking, but they're like, let's try to move past it. Let's appreciate the other artwork that's here.
Okay.
I think that was the kind of thought about that. So for 2 years, the Italian police searched high and low for the painting. And the sources that I was reading, the historians that were used, did not really look back kindly on the Italian police. They were called bumbling. Another historian named James Zug, he's an author and historian, he called them, quote, supremely inept.
Ew.
And actually the head of French police was so embarrassed by the whole situation, he resigned.
No.
So French police were not, I may have said Italian police earlier, I'm not sure. It was all the French police. I apologize.
Okay.
I got confused because there's Italians in this story. This is all the French police.
Okay.
They were apparently not doing a great job.
Right.
So also according to James Zug, Peruggia didn't realize what the painting was worth until after he had stolen it. And the hubbub arose. Like, it was a valuable painting. It was actually probably one of the most valuable paintings in the Louvre. I think at the time it was worth like $5 million. At the time. In 1911. Uh-huh.
Doing math. 1911. 5 million a day. That would be... Oh my God. Why is this so hard? 5 million. 165,355,000. Oh my God.
It's worth even more today.
Yeah.
It's valued at about 800 million today.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, even at the time it was valuable. And Zug said that apparently there's evidence that points to Peruggia wanting to sell it as soon as possible, but because it was everywhere, he was like, I can't sell this painting because literally it's worldwide news.
Wow.
So it seems he got in over his head a little bit.
Yeah. He didn't make a good choice.
He did not. So who was involved in this crime? Like I said earlier, it's complicated. I saw different things about depending on what source I was reading. It seems there's two possibilities. Either Peruggia acted alone, or he had two accomplices who their names were Vincenzo and Michele Lancelotti. They were brothers, but they disappear from the story after they left the Louvre. And it's complicated because Peruggia himself, he says both things as well. Like, he says he has accomplices, but then, like, didn't give details. And then he also says he worked alone. Again, like, I think he's a liar. So it's really hard. One thing that supports there being two accomplices is, like I said before, this whole thing weighed about 200 pounds. And it would have been very difficult for him to, like, lift it off the hooks and then carry it to a place where he could then disassemble it.
Right.
But also no evidence of two other people being involved has ever emerged. So,
I mean, he could just be really strong. I mean, it's not that big.
Yeah.
And 200 pounds is doable for, I mean, I could pick up 200 pounds as long as it's not too cumbersome.
Right. I don't know. Again, it's It's kind of a tricky story. So I also found an alternative story. I found an article written by Jelf Nilsson for the Saturday Evening Post. Mm-hmm. And it's about a Saturday Evening Post journalist in 1914 who met with a man. So the journalist's name was Carl Decker. Okay. And he was in a bar in Casablanca. Super vibes. And he met with an Argentinian man named Eduardo Marquis del Valfierno. Mm-hmm. Who was an old acquaintance of his and also a con man. So, according to Decker, Valfierno admitted to him that he had commissioned the theft in order to forge it and sell copies. So, Valfierno had this whole scheme going on about selling forged copies, where it got to I wrote a lot of details, but they're not super important, but basically, like, he would take buyers to an art gallery and say, like, here's the painting I'm going to steal. Why don't you make, like, a mark on the back of it so you know it's the original? The buyer, not knowing that Valfierno had already made a forgery of the original painting, slipped a copy of the forgery behind the original painting, so when the seller or the buyer, like, marked it, he was marking the forgery. And then he would slip the forgery out from it and be like, here's the original. And then the buyer would think what's still hanging up in the gallery was a forgery. Very complicated, but apparently very successful scheme that he had going on. Doesn't make any sense. I'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
But he was like, ooh, why don't we do the Mona Lisa? Because it's super expensive and people spend a lot of money on it. So apparently, according to Valfierno, he had drafted like 6 forgeries of the Mona Lisa and sold each forgery to a separate, like, wealthy American. And when he then communicated, or he commissioned the theft, Peruggia stole it, and then the buyer's like, oh, this was a legit, it was stolen, so I'm buying the actual Mona Lisa. Yeah. Like, each one thought that. Again, this is so convoluted and so complicated. Then Valfierno says Peruggia stole the Mona Lisa back from Valfierno and took it back to Italy to try to sell it himself. And then eventually when he was arrested, he just didn't say anything about everything that happened. And then, like, when the Mona Lisa was returned to the Louvre, either the American buyers just figured that was a forgery, or if they thought they got scammed, what were they going to do? Because it's not like you just go to the police and be like, excuse me, I bought a forged Mona Lisa painting for millions of dollars.
Yeah, and it has been stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
So this story was reported by the Post for a long time, and by many sources it's considered as fact, but there are some flaws in the story.
Okay.
Again, no one really knows if there were the 2 accomplices.
Okay.
Also, like, I talked about the doorknob. It showed up in a couple places, but apparently it also wasn't, according to Nilsson, who wrote the article for the Saturday Evening Post, like the newer one, not the original, a doorknob was not found in, like, official evidence from the investigation. Oh. And also, the scheme that Valfierno came up with was actually thought up by Eddie Guerin back in 1911. And there's actually not even any evidence that Valfierno existed at all. And Nilsson thinks that Decker may have made it up entirely.
Oh my god.
So the only reason I talk about it is because it is, like, this version of events is talked about in some of the sources that I read. Right. And I was like, why are there so many contradictions to the story? And part of it is because of this thing that was reported as fact for decades. So,
wow.
Who knows? Who
knows?
Okay. My next section is Mona Lisa found. Ooh. So again, Peruggia kept the Mona Lisa hidden in his apartment for 2 years.
2 years?
2 years. It just sat in his apartment.
Oh, I bet that ate him up. Like, oh my god, I have this painting.
According to him, he ended up falling in love with her. Like, I don't think it was like a weird, creepy way, but he was just like, oh my gosh, I have the Mona Lisa. It's so beautiful. I love it. So, okay, this next series of events that happen is factual. It's just weird.
Okay.
It's just weird. So, in November of 1913, a man named... we're getting into our skit here.
Okay.
A man named Alfredo Geri, who's an Italian art dealer, received a letter from a man calling himself Leonardo Vincenzo, claiming he had the Mona Lisa and wanted to return it to its home country. Leonardo Vincenzo was, of course, Vincenzo Peruggia.
Okay.
So in the letter, Peruggia wrote to Geri saying that he had been, quote, suddenly seized with the desire to return to his country at least one of the many treasures which, especially in the Napoleonic era, had been stolen from Italy. Which it was not.
Why didn't he change his name completely?
I don't...
Why did he keep part of his own fucking name?
There's something I'll say in a little bit that may answer that for you.
Okay.
I don't think he was the smartest person.
Okay. Got it.
So Peruggia asked for 500,000 lire, which I guess was like the Italian currency at the time, which was the equivalent of $100,000 then, which is about 3.1 million today.
Whoa. He's trying to sell it back to them?
So it was more like, I'm donating it back, but I also want like a finder's fee for my patriotic duty.
Okay.
Was his kind of stance.
Yeah, but buddy, how did you get it to begin with?
Right. And Geri thought this was weird because like the fee that he was asking for was so low in compared to like what the price of the painting was. He was like, I guess he's not trying to sell it for cash because he could ask for a lot more. Also, I'm an official art dealer. This is just a weird situation.
Right.
And again, Peruggia was like, I'm an Italian patriot and I want to fulfill my duty as an Italian. So Geri was super skeptical about the whole thing. He was like, this is super weird. And he took the letter to the director of the Uffizi Art Gallery in Florence, Giovanni Poggi. Poggi was also super skeptical. And he was like, this is super weird. But it was like, what the hell? Like, if he has a Mona Lisa, he has a Mona Lisa. We can get it back, you know? So after some back and forth correspondence, Peruggia was finally convinced to come to Florence on December 10th. He and Geri met sans painting. He had left the painting behind in his hotel room, and they kind of like spoke it out, and they were like working out the deal, and Peruggia confirmed he did have the painting in his hotel room. They agreed that Geri and Poggi, who was out of town that day, would come back the next day to the hotel, and they would verify the painting was real.
Okay.
So on December 11th, Geri and Poggi meet Peruggia at the hotel, and he takes him up to his room. He gets out a trunk full of stuff, takes everything out, and reveals a false bottom. He takes out a smallish rectangle wrapped in red silk, and once it's unwrapped, Geri and Poggi see it's the Mona Lisa.
Oh. Can you imagine?
Oh my god. Like, Poggi, like, I think it was either Poggi or Geri wrote about it afterwards, and they were like, this is the utmost paraphrase, and we're like, I shit a brick because this was the Mona Lisa. Like, oh my god, she was right in front of me.
Oh my god, I would have died, cried, gagged a little. I don't know.
I think they are feeling a lot of emotions, and Poggi almost instantly authenticated it because it still had a stamp of the Louvre and like a serial number on the back of it.
Oh,
that was unique to the Louvre. It was like wasn't a serial number, but it was like some kind of like item identification code that the Louvre had put on the back of the Mona Lisa to like, you know, museum things.
What it is,
right?
Yeah.
So he was like,
they're organized.
Yeah. And he was like, this is like 99.9% the Mona Lisa,
right?
And they were like, oh my gosh, it's in this guy's hotel room. Like, it was literally just like in a box. What the hell?
Wrapped in silk, okay.
So Poggi and Geri told Peruggia that they would hold the Mona Lisa back at the gallery while they figured out how to negotiate his pay with the government. Because they were like, we can't afford your 500,000 lire. The government will pay that, but we are going to negotiate on your behalf. And he was like, cool, sounds good. So they went back to the gallery, got everything sorted. The moment he left, they contacted the authorities.
Oh, yeah. So stupid. Dude, you say, no, I'm hanging on to the painting until I get my money. And then the moment you have your money, the painting's gone. Run away.
Yeah. They were like, we're going to further authenticate it and we'll make sure you get your money. He was like, yep, sounds good. The police beat him back to his hotel. Like, literally, he got back to his room and the police were waiting for him there.
Now I know why he didn't change his name. You're right. I got it.
Yeah. He was reportedly astonished that he was being arrested, according to the police reports.
How dare you arrest me for returning an item that I stole?
A priceless painting. So, the aftermath. He, of course, went to jail and was being held for trial because, of course,
duh,
the Italian government was a lot more effective in the short term than the French government, or police force, I should say. Apparently, while he was in jail awaiting trial, he became super depressed and he was reported by guards as weeping frequently.
He lost his lady painting.
He did. The trial was held in Italy, and France did not attempt to extradite him. They're like, you guys got it. So this is where it starts getting weird.
Okay.
Peruggia's account of events at the trial, one, differed from what he told Jerry, and also differed from what he told investigators. Because he did confess to everything. He told prosecutors at his trial that he just walked in on Monday morning and grabbed it and walked right out. And everyone was like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
He also started becoming shifty with some finer details again. Like, he mentioned that he had accomplices, but then, like, didn't say anything. They're like, who are your accomplices? He was like, They're like, well, if you didn't work alone, please tell us who worked with you. And he's like,
actually, I ain't no fucking snitch. Well, are you kidding me?
Well, then he said he did work alone.
It sounds like he said, I don't work alone, and then realized he's like, I shouldn't have said that.
Well, part of it too, and this was a theory, because he really hung into, like, he was so overcome with Italian patriotism that he had to steal the Mona Lisa to return it back to its rightful country after it had been stolen by Napoleon, which it was not.
What? No. Oh, for fuck's sake.
And he said that he worked alone, so it was seen as more heroic that he stole the Mona Lisa. That's a theory. Again, I don't know. Because he's a liar.
Oh, God. I'd hate to be in this guy's brain.
I know. He insisted that he did not steal the Mona Lisa because it was the most valuable piece in the museum, but that it was the only one small enough to carry out.
What?
Because it's a smaller painting, and you saw the other paintings in that room. They're like as big as a couch. It was the only one that he, according to him, it was the only one that he could, like, smuggle out without, like, people being like, where are you going with that painting? And patriotism.
I'm looking at some that are smaller than that. Like, I scrolled down to the bottom, and they're holding a painting. It's pretty big.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Again, he's a lot of stuff. I mean, and there was evidence that was presented by prosecutors that he was going to try to sell it after he had stolen it. There was just too much heat.
Yeah.
With the worldwide phenomenon that it became. He was asked by a judge if he had stolen it, if it was true Peruggia stole it to try to sell it to the English. And he was like, how dare you accuse me of selling to the English? I would never.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, they don't need anything sold to them because they
just take it.
yank things anyway, so.
Right. And because he had confessed, he was sentenced to 1 year and 15 days.
That's it?
In prison. Yep. And he only, after all the appeals and everything, he only served 7 months. With, like, time served when he was in jail awaiting his trial.
Oh, my God. So he served 7 months in prison, in jail. Mm-hmm. But he got to have the Mona Lisa in his house for 2 years?
Yep. He did not get the reward money, though.
Oh, my God.
That $500,000 liar that he wanted, he did not get it. And...
No.
Everything that I saw when I was researching this said that basically the Italian people took pity on this very stupid man and were like, he didn't hurt anybody. The Mona Lisa's fine. Let's just let him out of prison.
Please tell me he stopped doing dumb shit.
From what I saw, yes.
Okay, thank God.
There's a quote that called him a, quote, dim-witted patriot. Was how he was seen by other Italians.
Oh, bless his heart.
I know. Which, again, my personal theory is that he was kind of lying about the patriotism thing. At least, like, that. I don't think that's why he stole it in the beginning. Maybe in the end, but not that. I don't think that's why he stole it in the beginning. So... Noah Charney, he's an art history professor and author of The Thefts of the Mona Lisa, and he's also the founder of the Association for Research into Crimes Against Art. He told CNN in an interview, quote, he seemed to have genuinely been convinced that he would be heralded as a national hero and genuinely dismayed to discover he wasn't. He was maybe a few pickles short of a sandwich, but not a lunatic.
Well, he wasn't the brightest crayon in the box.
He was not.
Not the sharpest pencil in the bunch. Bless his heart.
But
as Dad would say, his elevator is stuck between floors, and his cheese is sliding off his cracker.
I love that. I love your dad. Yeah, it seemed, according to historians, that by the end, he at least maybe even convinced himself it was for patriotic reasons. And he was like, what do you mean? Like, people don't believe me.
He lied to himself so much that it just became fact in his brain.
Like, I could see that. Like, him, like, being with the Mona Lisa for 2 years. He was like, no, like, this is painted by Leonardo da Vinci in Florence. I have to return it to Florence. Like, even though, it was not stolen by Napoleon. It was brought to France by da Vinci himself. And just never left.
I have to find the descendants of Lisa and give it to her family.
I would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
they purchased it. So after it was recovered, it did go on a little tour of the Mona Lisa did go on a little tour of Italy before being returned January 4th, 1914. The French and Italian governments were a little, like, about it, about where it would go, because Italy was like, maybe it should come back to Italy. And then France is like, but it's been in the Louvre for hundreds of years. Eventually,
I think this one belongs in the Louvre, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, and Italy agreed. It was eventually returned, quote, as a pledge of friendship and brotherhood between the two great Latin nations.
All right.
Alfredo Geri, the art dealer that helped crack the case, he was awarded 25,000 francs by Les Amis du Louvre, which is a wealthy art lover society. He was also awarded the Legion of Honor by the French government and given the title Officier de l'Instruction Publique, which I think is like public instruction officer. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Geri then sued the French government for 10% of the Mona Lisa's value as a finder's fee.
That's awfully selfish.
I agree. This was later dismissed, and Geri was not awarded further.
Yeah. They're like, dude, we gave you
25,000 francs and all these honors, and he's like, but give me more money. And they're like, no, you don't get anything else.
No, you didn't do anything. You just happened to be contacted. Like, you didn't...
And then call the police afterwards.
Oh, my God.
So, All right. Back to Peruggia. When he was released, attention was very quickly turned away from him because Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated.
Oh.
Because remember, we're in 1914.
Oh my God. All roads lead to apparently World War I now. I feel like we went through like the Protestant Reformation there for a while. We're in World War I land now.
Yeah. Peruggia did serve in the Italian armed forces during World War I. After the war, he married Annunziata Rossi and had one daughter, Celestina, which I think is such a pretty name.
It is a pretty name.
He returned to Paris under the name Pietro Peruggia, which apparently was his birth name. And he lived a very quiet life as a painter and decorator until 1925, where he died from a heart attack on his 44th birthday.
Oh, that's so young.
It's very young, yeah.
I think the war might have knocked some sense into him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad he did live out a good life. I mean, you're right. He didn't hurt anyone. He might have cost the France a lot of money paying all these like cops and everyone to like go do the investigations and stuff. Right. But I mean, no one was hurt. It seemed like he made a rash decision and it was a very, very bad one.
Yes, I agree.
And then he was just trying to spitball ways to like lie his way out of it. Yeah. And it's like, dude, change your name completely.
I know. He still kept Peruggia. He just changed his first name to Pietro.
Oh, Jesus.
So there was a documentary made. I did not have time to watch this documentary, but it's called The Mona Lisa's Missing by Joe Medeiros. So Peruggia's daughter, Celestina, didn't really know anything about her father. Like, he died again. He died when she was pretty young and knew less of why he stole the portrait. And so Joe Medeiros met with her children, Peruggia's grandchildren, and like tracked down all these like clues and stuff to figure out like more details about the case.
Cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out. It's called The Mona Lisa is Missing by Joe Medeiros. Is the documentary.
Wow.
And probably the biggest aftermath effect is, as a side effect of being stolen and then found again, the international news helped catapult the Mona Lisa into worldwide fame.
Right.
Everyone knows what the Mona Lisa is now because of the theft.
Yeah.
Noah Charney, who I mentioned earlier, also told CNN, quote, "If a different one of Leonardo's works had been stolen, then that would have been the most famous work in the world, not the Mona Lisa. There was nothing that really distinguished it per se, other than it was a very good work by a very famous artist. That's until it was stolen. The theft is what really skyrocketed its appeal and made it a household name."
Wow.
It's really crazy. That's
so crazy.
I know. And now, like, everyone knows what the Mona Lisa is.
Yeah. We learn about it in school. It's come up in a lot of pop culture references, like, wasn't it in the Da Vinci Code and a lot of other movies and random stuff like that?
Yes. Yes, it was. I've got 2 more little sections about the Mona Lisa, and then I'll be done, because I know it's been a minute. So this next section is subsequent. I know. Subsequent vandalisms. Because, again, like I said earlier, people been trying to hurt the Mona Lisa.
Could they not?
So in 1956, there's 2 events. One person tried to slice it with a razor blade, and another person tried to hit it with a rock.
Please tell me it was in a box.
It did have glass in front of it.
Okay.
So I think with the rock, like one tiny little piece of paint got chipped, but they were able to fix it, and there's no other damage to the painting. In 1974, while it was touring in Tokyo, like one of the only other times it's been outside of the Louvre, a woman tried spray painting it in red spray paint. And this was a reaction to disabled people not being allowed or like given an opportunity to go view the Mona Lisa without accommodations. And so she was very upset about it, and it did get a couple like little drops of red paint, but again, those were able to be fixed. No damage to the painting itself. And because of her actions, there was actually a day set aside where people with disabilities could come and view the painting like in an exclusive like session. So,
well, I mean, I don't like what she did, but I like how it worked. That makes sense.
Yeah, like, don't agree with the methods, but the cause is understandable.
Exactly. Yeah.
In 2009, a Russian woman who was reportedly furious that she was denied French citizenship threw a teacup at the painting, which again was behind glass. In this particular incident, it was still in the Salon Carré this whole time. And finally they were like, hey, you know, like a lot of people, a ton of people come to see it every day. And also like all these people keep trying to attack the Mona Lisa. So what if we just like moved it into its own room?
Yeah.
And everyone else is like, yeah, that's a good idea. So now it is in its own room to help with like crowd control, and like it's behind like it's literally behind bulletproof glass now. Like you can't do anything to it.
So wild.
In 2022, someone threw cake on it. And then in 2024, an activist group threw soup on it.
Leave the Mona Lisa alone.
I know. And his last two were like environmental protests, but like this is a piece of art that's like 500 years old. Why? No. Yeah, like 500 years old. Why are you trying to destroy art that has nothing to do with global warming at all? It doesn't make any sense. And then like I think the 2024 activist group like, we need more farmland to grow more food. And it's like, but why are you throwing soup on the Mona Lisa? How is that going to help your agenda at all?
Yeah, I really want a swimming pool, so I'm going to throw a sandwich at the Statue of Liberty.
Yep.
So what doesn't add up.
No, it
it's
doesn't.
Stupid.
I agree. So the Mona Lisa today, like I said, it's behind bulletproof glass. About 10 million people visit the Louvre every year to get a glimpse of the Mona Lisa. And like if you see pictures of people like the room that it's in, it is always packed to the brim. And again, it's not a very big painting, and it's on a wall by itself, and you're going to be in the back of like 1,000 people, like barely able to see it. Everyone that I know that have like gone to the Louvre, like, just look it up online. Like it's like, yeah, it's cool to like be in front of the Mona Lisa, but there's so many people, it's basically not worth it. And since it became popular, the Mona Lisa is, quote, the most talked about, viewed, written about, sung about, drawn, and parodied piece of art. Like, on Earth. I mean, when you think about it, like, there's so much art that is even, like, just a reference to the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Or things that reference the Mona Lisa, or parodies of the Mona Lisa. I mean, like, when you Google Mona Lisa, you'll see a bunch of, like, cartoonish drawings and, like, edits of it and stuff. Of, like, her with, like, a big toothy grin, or, like, throwing a peace sign, or...
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, if Da Vinci could look at it now and see how popular it's become because of all of this? Just,
I always think about like that with artists and stuff. It reminds me of that Doctor Who episode with Van Gogh, where like,
my God, I cry.
It's a very good episode, listeners. If you don't watch Doctor Who, the Doctor takes Vincent Van Gogh to like, I guess like 2010. I guess when the episode comes out, because he's like, oh, no one's gonna remember me. I'm not a good artist, and he's like, actually, people will remember you forever. And it's just a very, very sweet. You can look it up on YouTube, Vincent and the Doctor, but it's a very sweet thing. And I think about that with artists.
And he cries, I cry.
Yeah,
we all cry.
We all cry.
If you need a good cry,
yeah, Bill Nye's in it. It's great.
Yeah, he is.
So that's what I have on
Oh my God, thank you for this.
the
I
theft
love
of the Mona
this.
Lisa. Y'all, Emily was so excited when she like read the line in the skit about it because she had no idea. Like,
I had no idea.
I definitely surprised her, and she was like, I can't even read this. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so check out the bloopers reel in May, because I'm sure that's gonna make it, where I'm like, I can't read it. I can't.
She started pumping the air. She started like flapping her arms and like so excited.
Well, it's a big story.
It is
like,
a big story.
I literally was like, oh, it's the Mona Lisa. It's just one of those things as a 31-year-old that it's just like there, you grow up, you know what the Mona Lisa is. And I knew there was something weird that happened to it in the past. That was literally all I knew. Mm-hmm. So all of this is so new to me. It is like wild.
I'm glad you liked it.
God.
It was super fun to research.
Oh my God. We have some parallels from this week and last week. Both stolen things.
Oh.
Cool. Okay. We're syncing up again.
And there's wood because there's a wooden frame around the Mona Lisa and the boat was made of wood.
And the painting is painted on wood.
There it is. There you go.
Oh my God. And it's treasure.
It is treasure. Millions of dollars.
And very old.
Yes. Also, I can't say millions anymore. Like, as a normal person, I always say millions.
Millions.
I'm starting to get very tired.
Oh my God, me too. It is 11:52 right now.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's wrap this up before it's midnight.
Yeah, for reals. 6 o'clock comes early. Okay, if you liked this, you can find us on Facebook.
Ill-Equipped History Podcast group and page.
Yeah. Instagram.
At Ill-Equipped History.
I almost said Facebook again.
I saw your... Make that ph noise. You said TikTok, right?
TikTok, yeah.
At Ill-Equipped History.
Gmail.
Ill-equippedhistory@gmail.com.
And Patreon.
Patreon.com/ill-equippedhistory. Check out our bonus episode.
Yeah, $5 a month. Woo. And you get stickers. So...
And we've got another big one coming up.
I'm excited about these next few months.
I know,
we
me too.
actually have them planned out, guys.
Woo! Guys, we're not doing like week before we record like frantic research. We've got them planned out through November, right?
Yeah.
Woo!
Look at us go. Woo, 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 woo.
All right.
Okay.
So, go to the Louvre and don't steal anything.
Yeah. And if, by chance, just a little tip for you, if you do steal something and you want to return it, change your name. Don't let them have it without giving you money first, and then immediately run away. Literally don't do what this guy did. Or also, more simply, what Morgan said, don't steal shit from the Louvre. And stop throwing soup on the fucking Mona Lisa.
Leave it alone.
Go
Go there, take a picture of it, admire it, and then leave.
If you're mad and you want to take it out on the Mona Lisa, print off a copy of the Mona Lisa and throw it at the copy of the Mona Lisa, not the real freaking Mona Lisa.
Yeah, you can scribble on the
Please.
copy as much as you want. Make her have a big nose. Give her bushy eyebrows. It's
A
okay.
mustache.
A mustache.
A mustache. But not the real one.
Not the real one. Not the
Shit's
500-year-old
old.
one.
Oh my God. Okay. Well. Okay, bye.